Good morning, dear student. Today I will take your new topic, that is ovule. It is structure of ovule. What exactly it is? Types of ovules, right? Means forms of ovules, like that. Okay. The first we will see the ovule, or it's nothing but the pistil, right? We already studied stamen. Now we will see the structure of pistil, female reproductive. Now you can see the pistil, right? This pistil is nothing but the gynoecium. It's known as gynoecium, right? So pistil or a gynoecium of a flower is actually the female reproductive unit. Okay, what is it exactly? It is a female reproductive unit of angiosperm. Okay. Now this pistil, you can see this pistil is also known as carpel. Okay, or it's also known as pistil, or it's also known as gynoecium. Right? These three names are same. Okay. First, I will draw the structure, then I will explain. So basically, you know that carpels is nothing but the pistil, right? So pistil has three parts. That three parts are, you know that is stigma, right? Upper part, middle part, it's called as style, and the lower basal part, it's called as ovary, and the structure is like that. And this one, that is stigma, that is style, and this one is ovule. So what is the part that receives the pollen? What is stigma? The part that receive pollen, right? And what is style? You can see the stalk that contains stigma and ovary. Okay, so what is it? Is nothing but the stalk that connects the stigma to the ovary. Then what is ovary? You can see this portion. Okay, it is a swollen region, right? So ovary is nothing but it is a swollen region present at the base. You can see it present, swollen portion present at the base, and this ovary contain one or several ovules. Sometimes it's one, sometimes more than one. So this ovary contains ovules, that is one or several number. So one or several number of ovules are present in ovary. So this is actually the structure of pistil, right? So now we will study actually the structure of ovule. Okay, now we are going to study about actually the structure of ovule. How, what type of component, what type of parts ovule has, then how it's work. Okay, so there are so many different types of ovules are there. So first I will draw the diagram of ovule. Okay, so here I am drawing the diagram of ovule. So in this way you can draw the structure of ovule, right? So you can see here the point of attachment of this structure. Sorry, it's not here. This point, that is called as helium. Okay, and you can see this is called as raphe. Inside that ovule is there. Okay, and here you can see here is also in middle. You can see that is called as secondary nucleus. Here in upper one you can see that's called as egg cell, and below the egg cell you can see these two structure, that is called as synergids. Okay, so this egg cell and synergids both, it's called as egg apparatus. You can see this tube-like structure rising from the ovule, that is called as funicle, and you can see this opening, that is called as micropyle. You can see this portion, that is called as chalaza. Okay, and here in that you can draw the structure like that. That is called as nucellus. Okay, and you can see these two parts, this and this, that's called as integument. Here you can see that is called as antipolar cell, antipodal cell, and this is called as embryo sac. This is called as embryo sac, right? This is actually overall the structure of ovule. Okay, now we will start what exactly it is. So ovule, what exactly, how can we define the ovule first, right? So ovule is nothing but the integument megasporangium. Why? Because ovule is nothing but the megasporangium. That is, you can see this one, and that is surrounded by this two, that is called as integument, right? So So we will start with the structure of ovule. So ovule, how can we define? Ovule is nothing but the, as I initially discussed with you all, ovule is the megasporangium. Okay, what is? It is a megasporangium. And you know that, so this is a megasporangium, right? And that is surrounded by 1, 2, 3, you can see layers, that is called as integument. Surrounded by integument. Okay, so what exactly this definition of this ovule then? Definition of ovule is like that. Ovule is an integumented small megasporangium of a seed bearing plant. Okay, if an exam define the, in exam there is a question, define the ovule, right? So how can we write this answer? The ovule is nothing but, it is the integument. Okay, it is integumented, right? What? The megasporangium. Okay, integumented megasporangium of seed bearing plant, of seed bearing plant. Okay, that is actually the definition of the ovule. Basically ovule has many parts, okay, but one of the most is that called as ovule body and stalk, right? So we will start with that. So ovule, we start with this ovule, right? We defined ovule is nothing but the integumented megasporangium, right? Yes, it has two parts. Ovule has basically two parts. Okay, first is called as stalk. Okay, or that stalk, you can see this one, that is also known as funicle. Okay, and second part of it is called as body of ovule. It's called as body of ovule. Okay, these two parts are there in ovules. First part is called as stalk, second part is called as ovule. Okay, so what is stalk? Where exactly the stalk? So ovule is attached to this placenta by means of stalk. Okay, you can see this structure. Okay, that is called as stalk or funicle. Okay, now this structure, this is ovule, you know that, right? Now this ovule, here this placenta is there. What is? Placenta is there. Now these ovules is attached to this placenta by means of one stalk, right? That stalk is known as funicle, or it's also known as stalk, or another name is also named as funiculus. Okay, so these are the three names of one structure. Okay, it is called as stalk, or it also known as funicle or funiculus. Fine? Yes. Now, this point of attachment of the funicle, this is a funicle. Now this funicle is attached to the ovule. So here the point of attachment of funicle to this ovule is known as helium. Got it? So what do you mean by here? You can see what is stalk, what is funicle, what is stalk. It is ovule is attached to the placenta. Ovule is attached to placenta, right, by a stalk. That stalk is called a funiculus, funicle, or we simply call as stalk. Okay, now you can see this funicles remains attached as a point to this ovule. That point is known as helium. So point of attachment of funicle, so I can say like that, this is point of attachment of funicle, okay, to the ovule is known as hilum. Understand? Right? Now, in Anotropus ovules, after that we will see the forms of ovule. The first we will see in Anotropus ovules. This is a pattern of Anotropus ovule. Okay. So in this Anotropus ovule, you can see the major part of funicles. You can see this major part of funicles remains attached to this body of ovule, right, and forming a one ridge. You can see this. I use another pen so you can identify it very well, right? What I am trying to say that you can see this is a major part of this. All are a funicle, right? This, so this major part of funicles is attached to this body of ovule, right, and forming a one ridge. You can see this dark band, right, forming one ridge. That ridge is known as raphe. That ridge is known as raphe. So raphe is nothing with the ridge. Okay, it is a ridge where it's a ridge, forming a ridge in between the funicle, ridge in between the funicle and body of ovule. Understood? So this is called as ridge. So this is all comes under in first part of ovule, that is called as stalk, or we also known as funicle. Okay. Now second part of the ovule is known as body of ovule. Okay, we can see these funicles, right, that bear a swollen part at its tip. That part is called as body of ovule. Okay, so here how can you write it down? This funicle bear a swollen part at its tip, right? Yes, at its tip, the swollen part at its tip of funicle is known as body of ovule, right? And this body of ovule is made up of several parts. This body of ovule is made up of several parts that are made up of nucellus. Okay, not only nucellus, made up of chalaza. It also made up of micropyle. It has integument. Then it has embryo sac. So I had this 5-part, okay, with the help of that 5-part body of ovules are made. Got it? Again I repeat this point. As you know that what is the body of ovule? So you can see funicle bear a swollen part at its tip. Okay, that structure is called as body of ovule, and it is made up of that part, that is nucellus, chalaza, micropyle, integument, and embryo sac. We will discuss all these parts one by one. Okay. So first part, that is called as nucellus. Okay. Now you can see it is a central major part of ovule. This one. Okay. It is a central middle part of this ovule. It's made up of parenchymatous tissue. Okay, and that is called as nucellus. So what is nucellus? It's a central major part you can see this is a central major part of ovule that made up of which tissues? Parenchymatous tissue. Okay. Now this nucellus, it contain female gametophyte. Okay, actually the female gametophyte. Here it's contained by nucellus. So female gametophyte is also known as embryo sac. Okay, so here it contain nucellus contain female gametophyte, and that female gametophyte is also known as embryo sac. Okay, here this nucellus, it could be thin or massive. Okay, it occurs in 2 parts. I am talking about the nucellus, right? Its nucellus could be thin or massive. Okay, when nucellus is thin, when it occurs in 2 forms, whether it may be a thin or it may be a massive. Okay, but when this nucellus is thin, it is called as tenunucellate. Okay, it's called as tenunucellate when the nucellus is thin, and this is generally occurs in family. The name of family is composite. Okay, so this type of nucellus occurs in that members of family, composite. Okay, and that is called as tenucellate. Okay, when this nucellus is massive, okay, and now I am discussed with about a massive nucellus. So is when the nucellus is massive, then it is called as crassinucellate. It's known as crassinucellate. Okay, and this occurs in members of family that is Cassiuarinaceae. Okay, so in that members of family, the crassinucellate, it means nucellus are occurs in massive form, and in that composited members of family, nucellus are occurs in thin form. Okay, so this is all about the first part, that is called as nucellus. Second part we will discuss, that is called as chalaza. Okay, the second part, that is called as chalaza. So you can see where is chalaza, this part, right? You can see. So it is this is nucellus, okay, and this is the base of nucellus. Okay, now so we can see this basal part of nucellus called as chalaza. Exactly, this is nucellus and this is base of nucellus. So what is chalaza? It is a basal part of nucellus. Okay, so basal part of nucellus is known as chalaza. Now you can see this integument, okay, this covering of nucellus. So you found that, you just observe that this integument also arises from this chalaza. Yes, so integuments of ovule develop from chalaza. Develops from chalaza. Okay, so what exactly the chalaza? You can see this is a basal part of nucellus and these are integument. Now this integument of ovules is also developed or arises from this chalaza. Then third part of this ovule is called as micropyle. Okay, now you can see this is integument. Okay, now these integuments have a small narrow pores here. Everyone look at here, this integuments, this all are integuments, right, in both the side. This integument leaves a small narrow opening at its terminal end of this nucellus. This is the terminal end of a nucellus, right? It's called as micropyle. It's called as micropyle. So it means this small opening, you can see this is nothing but the micropyle. Okay, so what do you mean by micropyle? So narrow opening, you can see it is a narrow opening at the terminal end of nucellus, okay, is called as micropyle. Okay, now fourth part, that is called as integument. Okay, so where is the integument? You can see this. Okay, this structure is known as integument. Okay, now you got it. So what do you mean by integument? Integument is nothing but you can see it protects the nucellus. Okay, so I can say like that, it is a protective covering of nucellus. Okay, and the protective covering of nucellus is known as integument. Okay, so what do you mean by integument? We will start with first I will drop all these things and we'll start with nucellus. So we will start with this fourth structure, that is called as integument. Okay, now, so what is integument? Just now I tell you what is this. It is nothing but the protective covering, right? You can see it, protective covering of a nucellus. So it is protective covering of nucellus is known as integument. Okay, now integument are classified, you can say, on the basis of number of integument. Ovules are of following type. How many numbers of integuments are present, on that basis ovules are classified. So here, on the basis of ovules are classified into are of following types. Okay, they have 4 types on the basis of number of, here the number. Okay, on the basis of number of integument, ovules are of following type. The first is called as unitegmic, okay. Second is called as bitegmic. Third is called as tritegmic, and last, fourth, is called as ategmic. Okay, so how many numbers of integument present? On that basis, ovules have following types. First is called as unitegmic. What do you mean by uni? Means this means 1. Okay, if they have a 1 integument, okay, it's called as unitegmic, and it is seen, this unitegmic is seen in higher plant, higher dicots, just like example I am giving you. So this type of integument ovules are present in higher dicots. Example, it's a gymnosperm, okay, and it also in compositive family, right? So these are the 2 examples of integument ovule. Okay, now bitegument. Bi means 2, uni means 1. So it has 2 integument. That's called as bitegument, right? And it's generally seen in monocot. That bitegument is generally seen in monocot and primitive dicots. Understood? You can see unitegment only and only seen in higher dicots, just gymnosperm and all, right? But here bitegument, it means it has 2, 1 and 2, right? It has 2 integument are generally seen in monocot and primitive dicots. An example is this, which family is that? That is called as Malvaceae. Okay, and second is that is called as, I think so, cruciferae. Okay, so these are two members of this families have bitegument ovule. Then third we can see tri. Tri means three integument. How many? Tri means three integuments. Okay, and this is generally seen in asphodelus. Example of this, asphodelus. Understood? Now, one more family is that, one more type of that is called as Integument, right? So what exactly? Means without any integument. Okay, what do you mean by it's without integuments? Okay, ategmic यानी without integuments, and this is generally seen in Olax. Example of that, and Loranthus. This is also example of integument. Along is that this is also seen in Xerosoma. Soma and Santalum. Okay, so Olax, Loranthus, Xerosoma and Santalum. These are these few example of integument ovules, means which does not contain integument, which does not contain protective covering of nucellus. Okay, so these are this type of ovules. These integuments have two regions, inner and outer. Okay, now we'll see this integument have two regions. Okay, one is inner region and second is called outer region, right? So this inner region of integument may nourishes the developing embryo sac. Okay, this is responsible for, I am talking about the inner region of this integument. Okay, means inner part of it. So this part of an integument is responsible for nourish or to give nourishment to the developing embryo, or nourishing developing embryo. So here I am writing it, use this inner regions of integument is nourish the developing embryo sac. Okay, is that one. It is responsible for the development, nourishment, to give nutrition to this developing embryo. Then what is this? And because of that, this layer is known as endothelium. Okay, because of that, that is called as endothelium. Okay, what do you mean by endothelium? The inner region of integument, they may nourish this developing embryo. It is called as endothelium. Okay, now this outer region of each integument and the nucellus. Okay, outer region of this integument, outer region of what? Each integument, हर एक integument का, each integument, right? Okay, and nucellus, these two, outer region of integument and nucleus, possesses one structure. That structure is called a cuticle. That is called as cuticle. Understood? Till now you are getting? Yes. These are a type of ovule on the basis of number of integument, and these are the region of integument. It has two regions, inner and outer. Inner is responsible for nourishment. Outer layer or region of this integument plus nucellus form one structure that is called as cuticle, right? Next we will see you know that in some example I am telling you, in generally the castor bean, you know that, okay, that is scientific name of that is called as ricinus. Okay, so in that what will happen, the integumentary cells are there, it's proliferate at the micropylar region. This is a micropylar region, you can see. I am giving specific example of castor bean, okay, and this castor bean's scientific name is ricinus. Okay, so in castor bean what will happen, this integument, you know, now this integumentary cells is proliferate and a multiply in the region of micropylar region, okay, and it forms one structure. That structure it's called as caruncle. Understood? That is called as caruncle. So what do you mean by caruncle? Here I am writing the integumentary cells proliferate at the micropylar region, okay, and because of that it form one structure, and that structure is nothing but the caruncle. Okay, now what is this function or significance of that, or what is the role of it, of caruncle? The first, it performs two functions. How many functions? They perform two functions. Okay, first they absorb the water, okay, they absorbs water and help in seed germination. They absorb water, that's why they help in seed germination. As you know, it is a small opening, so what will happen, यहाँ से water जाता है, okay, water जाएगा तो क्या करेगा, this part will absorb these waters, and if they get favorable conditions, so they germinate and they form a new plant. Okay, so what is the function of this caruncle? They absorb the water and help in seed germination. The second function is that it is made up of sugary substance. This caruncle is made up of just like a sugary substance, right? And this seed dispersal occurs by ant. That's why here the seed dispersal, I'm talking about dispersal यानी spread होना. Okay, the seed dispersals occurs by ants because ant is sugar lover, right? They always attract the sweet substance, okay, and this caruncles made up of some of the sugary substance, so they attract this ant, and the ant disperses seeds in anywhere, and once they get this favorable condition, the new plants get germinate. Okay, so this is all about this integument. Okay, now this is a fourth part. Now we see the fifth part of the body of ovule is known as embryo sac. Okay, the fifth part of body ovules is known as embryo sac. So this embryo sac, it's generally, it is 8 nucleated and 7 celled structure. This is very important. Okay, the structure of egg sacs contain 8 nucleus and 7 cells. Okay, so the structure is become 8 nucleated 7 cell structure is known as embryo sac. Okay, you can see I'm telling you what exactly it is. Okay, it has this embryo sacs consist of 3 parts. Okay, first is called as egg apparatus. Second part is called as secondary nucleus, and the last third part is called as antipodal cells. Okay, here now we are discuss with this embryo sac. Okay, this embryo sac, how can we define? It has 8 nucleated 7 cell structure. Okay, it consists of 3 parts. The first part is called as egg apparatus, second is called as secondary nucleus, and third is called as antipodal cells. So we will discuss each and every part of this embryo sac. Okay, the first I will draw the structure of embryo sac here, so you will get understand very well. Okay, so here I am drawing. I will draw the structure of embryo sac. Okay, now listen it, sit, please. Okay. Now I am drawing this embryo sac structure over here. How to draw? See carefully. Okay, that is called as antipodals. Okay, and this end is called as chalazal end. चलासा जिसे हम कहते हैं, right? Now here so here you can see the structure. Okay, that is called as secondary nuclei. That is called as secondary nuclei. And here again I am drawing 2 parts. Okay, some part is like that. That is called as filiform apparatus. This is a detailed structure of, here you can't observe it carefully, right? But here a detailed structure of embryo sac. You can see this structure, that is called as filiform apparatus. Above it you can see two small things. Okay, that is called as more vacuoles. Okay, and here one more, that is so you can see this upper, that is called as egg cell, and you can see this is below 2 structure, that is called as synergids. Okay, and both the egg cell and synergids form one structure, that is called as egg apparatus. Okay, and this is a micropylar end and this is chalazal end, that is called as micropylar end. Okay, and this is all about the structure of embryo sac. Okay, now see, now we will discuss the detailed structure of embryo sac. Okay, so in embryo sac, in angiosperm, female gamete is represented by this embryo sac. Okay, because now we are discuss all about this flowering plant, and flowering plant is nothing but the angiosperm. Okay, so in angiosperm female gametophyte is represented as an embryo sac. Okay. Next, you can see it is an embryo sac is nothing but the 8 nucleated and 7 cell structure, right? And it consists of 3 parts. The first part we will discuss, that is called as egg apparatus. Okay, this is the first part. So what is, you can see this one, egg apparatus, this and this part together is called as egg apparatus. Okay, so it is a group of 3 cells. How many cells are there? It's a group of 3 cells, and that 3 cells towards the which chalazal end or micropylar end. So this is 1, 2 and 3 cells. So it is a group of 3 cells towards the micropylar end. Okay, now the central cell is this female gametophyte. You can see the central one. Okay, the central cells is the female gametophyte, or is also known as egg cell, which is flanked by the 2 cells. Okay, you can see this cells is flanked over these 2 cells. Okay, so that cell, okay, that cell is called as egg cell. Okay, so here I am writing the central. So what is the central cell? Is this female what? Gamete. Okay, and this female gamete is nothing but the egg cell, and which is flanked by 2 cells, 1 and 2, that is called as synergis. Okay, which is flanked by 2 cells called synergids. Okay, now you can see after fertilization, this is the structure. Once they fertilize, it means the egg cells fuse with this male gametophyte, right? That is called as microspore. Then what will happen, we will see. So after fertilization, eggs give rise a diploid cycle. I am talking about after fertilization, right? What will happen after fertilization? Here is egg, here is microspore. They are fused to form a one structure, and that is called as diploid zygote. Okay, that's form a diploid zygote, which later develop into the embryo, right? And you can see these synergids. The synergids bear a spatial cellular thickening at the micropylar tip. These 2 cells have bearing a very special thickening over here. You can observe this part. Okay, this part is just like that. Here I am again drawing. Okay, so this part is called as filiform apparatus. Okay, so here what is this? The synergids only. The synergids bear a spatial cellular thickening. Okay, at what end? Micropylar end. Okay, at micropylar end or you can say at the micropylar tip, that's better, suitable. It's called as filiform, is known as filiform apparatus. Okay, and this filiform apparatus, okay, play a very important role, a very significant role in guiding pollen grain or guiding pollen tube, right? Guiding pollen tube into egg apparatus. What is the main importance of that structure? They guide the pollen tube, so that with the help of pollen tube, male gamete enters inside and the fertilization takes place. Okay, so this is all about the egg apparatus. Okay, so as we already discussed, what is this? This is angiosperm. Female gametophyte is nothing but the embryo sac. It is 8 nucleated 7 cell structure, right? It has 3-part egg apparatus, secondary nuclei and antipodal. So first we discuss with this egg apparatus. Egg apparatus contain 2 structures, that is called as egg cell and synergids. Okay, so we can say it is a group of 3 cells, 1, 2, 3, 2 synergids and 1 egg, that is called as 3 cells. So it is a group of 3 cells, right, towards the micropylar end, and the central cells, okay, that is called as female gamete, or it's also known as egg cell, which is flanked by these 2 cells, that is called as synergids. Okay, after fertilization, what will happen? The eggs combines with the microspores to form a diploid zygote, and this diploid zygote further develops into the embryo. Okay, now you can see the synergids. Now synergids bearing some special thickening, cellular thickenings at the micropylar tip. That structure is known as filiform apparatus. And what is the need of that? What is the importance of that? They're guiding this pollen tube into the egg apparatus. Okay, next we will see the secondary nucleus. Next structure we will see, that is called as secondary nucleus. Second part of a embryo sac is called as here secondary nucleus. Okay, and third part is called as antipodal. Okay, so here we start with secondary nucleus. Okay, you can see here the 2 structure. Okay, it is a diploid structure, and this diploid is a one haploid to form a diploid structure. Is formed by the fusion of a 2 polar nuclei. Okay, so what is secondary nuclei? It is a nothing but the diploid structure. Okay, and is generally formed by the fusion of 2 polar nuclei. 2 polar nuclei fuse to form a one structure, that is called as secondary nucleus, and it is diploid in nature. Okay, so after fertilization, what will happen? With this secondary nuclei, right? So it gets converted after fertilization. This secondary nuclei get converted into triploid primary endosperm. Okay, they form after fertilization. These structures get converted into triploid primary endosperm. Okay, and which these structures which produces triploid endosperm. Okay, the secondary nucleus. Okay, we are talking about the secondary nucleus, right? So this secondary nucleus, after fertilization, it converted into a triploid primary endosperm nucleus, and which produces triploid endosperm. Okay. The next part is called as antipodal. You can see this at chaliceal end. Antipodals are there. Okay. So always at chaliceal end antipodals are there, and macropyle end egg apparatus are there. Okay. This is the identification location of this egg apparatus and antipodal. Egg apparatus always present at micropylar end, whereas the antipodals are always located at chaliceal end. Okay, so you can see the antipodal cell. It also the group of 3 cell, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what it is also the group of 3 cells. Okay, but it's towards at chaliceal end, towards chaliceal end. Understood? And after fertilization, what will happen? It degenerate. After fertilization, okay, after fertilizations, what will happen? These antipodals degenerate. Okay, so this is all about the 5th important part of the ovule body. Okay, that is called as embryo sac. Okay, here we see filiform apparatus. Okay, so what do you mean by filiform apparatus and what its role? You can see the extensive wall of invasions of synergids. Okay, what do you mean by filiform apparatus? Okay, what do you mean by filiform? So it is nothing but the extensive wall invaginations in the synergids, okay, at this micropylar end is called as filiform apparatus, and play an important role in attracting the pollen tube towards the egg apparatus. Understood? Next we will see the function of different parts of ovule. Okay, what its functions. So we will see the functions of different parts of ovule. The functions of different parts of ovule. Okay, so here the first part, that is called as funicle. You can see that is part. Okay, that part is called as funicles or funiculus or the stalk. Okay, what is the role of it? It attaches the ovule to the placenta, right? What is the first role of funicle? Attaches the ovule with placenta, right? And second important is drawn the nourishment from the placenta. Here the placenta is there, so it gives nourishment to this ovule. So it drawn the nourishment from the placenta to the embryo sac, right? So second function of this funicle is called as, it draws nourishment from placenta. Okay, now the second structure we studied, that is called as this portion, that is called as nucellus. Okay, and what is the role of nucellus? It gives rise embryo sac. Nucellus gives rise, it gives rise embryo sac. Okay, now right now we will discuss about the function of different parts of ovule. So what is the function of nucellus? It gives rise the embryo sac. Okay, then third part we studied, that is called as micropylar or it's called as micropyle end. Okay, what is a, it's a passage of, you can see it is a passage of pollen tube before fertilization, and it also serves the entry of a water during a seed germinations. Okay, so it has two functions. First is a passage for pollen tube. It form a passage for pollen tube, and second function is that of micropyle is that it serves the entry for a water. It serves the entry for water. For what, which purpose? During seed germination. Okay, so these are the two functions of micropyle. Then third part is called as integument. Next part, fourth part is called as integument. And what is the role of integument? Yes, yeah, integument, it protect the nucellus. This is integument. So what is the this is the fourth part of ovule. Okay, so what is the function? It protects the nucellus and embryo sac and is developed into the seed coat. So here I am writing next function of integument. Okay, so you can see this is integument. The first function is it protects nucellus and embryo sac. Okay, second is that this is developed after fertilization, is developed into seed coat. Okay, next we will see last part. It's called as embryo sac. What is the role of embryo sac? It gives rise female gamete. What is the role of that? It gives rise this is nucellus. Nucellus gives rise embryo sac, right? This whole is called as embryo sac. But right, and this embryo sac gives rise female gamete. It has a first part. We already say egg apparatus. What is the role of egg apparatus? Egg apparatus. So after fertilization, eggs give rise to egg plus male gamete to form a diploid zygote, and which later develop into the embryo, right? Fine, and whatever the synergies are there, okay, this is like that. Understood? Now you remember. This is egg cell. So egg cell fuse with this male gamete to form a zygote, and this zygote further develop into the embryo. And after fertilization, these synergies get degenerate. Okay, then second part, that is called as secondary nucleus. Okay, what is the role of after fertilization? It's converted into triploid primary endosperm, and that produce a triploid endosperm. Understand? So after fertilization, it's covered into a triploid primary endosperm nucleus, which produces triploid endosperm. That is the function of secondary nucleus. Okay, and the next part, it's called as antipodal cell. What is the function of antipodal cells? After fertilization, they degenerate. After fertilization, they degenerate. So this is all about the structure of ovule.